Hello. Can you hear me now? There we go. I was saying, do not fear, Stuffeyy is here. I was just grabbing my coffee. So, there we go. There we go. I mean, what would you guys do without my dulcet tones? How's it going, everyone? Happy Saturday. Hope your weekend is treating you well, wherever you are in the world. And yes, we are in store for, hopefully, a good weekend of motorsport. Haven't watched, I admit, guys, I haven't watched the start of Le Mans because I didn't realise it was locked behind a paywall. So I refused to pay in the UK an extra 30 English pounds for the privilege of BT Sport, TNT Sport, on top of what already is a very expensive cable satellite package, however you want to refer it to. So yeah, which is a real shame, but hey ho, it is what it is. I wonder if they'll see an actual downturn in viewership. Part of me hopes that they actually do, so that we get cheaper, more affordable viewing experiences. But yeah, that's a real shame. I haven't, no, just saying, obviously, I haven't been following them on. No, because of the exact reason I just mentioned. So, you know what? I just realised my settings aren't completely set up yet. Bear with me, guys, and I'll change scene. Hey, Shane. I'm very well, thank you, very well. Oh, I tell you what, that caffeine really hits the spot. It really hits the spot. Right. Alright, absolutely no idea if everything is in the right place here, but we'll figure it out on the fly, as we tend to do. Who needs Le Mans when F1 is here? True, but it'd be nice to experience it as well. I just don't... I say a bit off topic from F1. I don't understand why TNT Sport are spending so much money on motorsport. So... I can't imagine they get a lot of viewership for the amount of money that they pay for it. You know? I don't know. They've got Formula E. Obviously, it was a big thing when they bought Formula E. And they locked that behind a paywall. They've got MotoGP now as well. That's locked behind TNT. This is in the UK, guys. Sorry, international viewers. And then... they've got, obviously, Le Mans as well. I don't know if any of the other... I don't think any of the other WEC series are locked behind the paywall. I'm not sure. But it wouldn't surprise me if, in the future, Sky F1 potentially get outbid by TNT Sports, which would be a real shame. But, yeah, just like they did with European football here in the UK as well. But, yeah, it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money, of course, So FE is now free on ITVX. Is it? What, live stream free or highlights? But yeah, sorry guys, bit of a, not a rant, but bit of a sad discussion really, because I'd love to be able to watch it, but I was looking forward to sitting down at 2 o'clock and watching it, but didn't get around to it. But anywho, here we go, F1. We got F1 on our hands, and hopefully we've got an intriguing weekend in store for Canada. Of course, yesterday, the practice sessions, a bit odd from McLaren, of course, with the times that they set seem to be struggling. And it does seem to be, as per Piastri's comments, they have a lot of work to do to dial in the setup of that McLaren. So maybe they didn't actually have the engine turned down. If they did, then they're not letting us know. And they genuinely are having some issues. But anyway, let's change to the data. Apple's always wanting to have a go at taking over Formula 1. Yeah, I think Sky are going to have to dig deep, I think, in the future to keep F1. I mean, Netflix have spoken about it as well, I think. Of course, with their links to Drive to Survive, they've spoken about being the streaming platform for the broadcaster, shall we say, for Formula 1. So, yeah, I think, to be honest, I think Liberty Media they're going to have a lot of options on their hands when it comes to the actual broadcaster. So, in the future. Have you missed anything on the stream? No, the session hasn't started yet. Hence the session start time there. Nothing's started yet, so it's all good. It's all good in the hood. You haven't missed anything. It'll be an aggregation strategy, Anthony. Try to buy up as many rights and then position it as the home of motorsports so you are forced to go there to see anything. True, true. But I thought TNT Sport, BT Sport, sorry, international viewers, I know I keep talking about UK stuff, but I think I swear I saw rumours not too long ago, or reports that they were having money issues. Like, especially when it came to European football, like they were thinking about that they might have to give up the European football rights because they were having issues there. So I don't know, could be completely wrong, but yeah, it's just more money, isn't it? Just on top of what is already an expensive satellite package if you want Sky Sports. So hey, back of the shed. I'm very well, thank you. Yeah, family's doing well. They're out shopping at the moment, having something to eat. They might even be tuning in now. Hi. I've got to go pick them up afterwards. They're holding. This is why I'm having coffee now and not rum and coke or rum and lemonade. So yes, things you do for family, eh? What do I think about next year's F1 tracks? No Imola. I think next year's, barring the Madrid circuit, I think the calendar's good. Yeah, I mean, I don't dislike this year's calendar. No Imola. I am one of those who's not actually that fussed about seeing Imola go. This year, we, for the first time, got a decent race there with some actual racing, primarily due to the tyre strategy. But if the teams know what the tyres are going to do next year, would we have that intriguing strategy again? Maybe not. So I'm not too disheartened to see Imola go. I just think F1 has outgrown Imola in relation to the size of the cars and so forth. Maybe if the cars get a bit smaller and we go back to more smaller, lighter, nimble cars, then it'll be preferable to go back to Imola, but not right now. It's just not suitable, I think. Leave the alcohol till later. I know, but it's nice and sunny outside, Dan. It's nice and sunny outside. Gonna miss the GP tomorrow. I have to drive from Aberdeen to Newcastle for work on Monday. Oof. Well, if you're on the move, Wonk, you can always obviously listen to us on the go. But yes, of course, make sure you get plenty of sleep. It is an evening race tomorrow. I say it's an evening race. It's not too late of an evening race. It is 7 p.m. UK start. So it's not as late as some of the American races. Spa is still there for now, Steve. Next season is the first year, I believe, Spa goes on rotation. So it'll be there for 26, won't be there for 27, back for 28. So, yeah, that's a shame. That's next year is the first year we see the rotation of the European circuits. Yeah, not a fan. Not a fan, of course, of those decisions. But it's all about the money. As I mentioned yesterday, if you haven't checked out that video that I posted of why they're doing the rotational circuits, it's all because of money, of course, but it's primarily due to the fact that the historic circuits on the calendar, they pay the least amount of money. So they pay 20 to 25 million euros or dollars. I think it was euros was the currency. Whereas the Middle Eastern circuits, the newer circuits are paying double the amount. So if you can have those that are historic, keep the fans happy, have a compromise, keep them happy on a rotational basis and free up 1 or 2 slots on the calendar for an extra 50 mil, then yeah, it's the kind of a no-brainer from a business perspective, isn't it? But it's a shame for us race fans because it means we get more street circuits, soulless circuits, because unfortunately, so I would be an advocate for it if we were going to circuits that are proper racing circuits. You know, we see the return of Malaysia, Sepang. We do see the return of one of the Hockenheim and Nürburgring and some other circuits across the world as well. Can't think of any off the top of my head. I'd be an advocate for that, but we're not. We know we're not. That's not what we're going to see. So, yeah. Hey, Ollie. Welcome, buddy. Welcome, buddy. Yes, and I am enjoying. Well, I say I'm enjoying the weather. Yeah, I haven't been outside too often today. It's been nice. Do you know what? It's been nice today. The missus has gone out with the mother-in-law and with the little one, and they've left me alone. And I haven't even really done anything today. I've just sat on the sofa. I've watched some trash YouTube. I played a bit of Expedition 33 actually, which I haven't played in a while, and I've had a nap. And it's been lovely just to be left to my own devices. I guess that's my father's. She's going to come back later and she's going to go, that's your Father's Day present, was a Saturday alone. And I'm starting to think whether or not it was actually, I think it was quite a good one. So, yeah. Peace and quiet, guys. Peace and quiet. You start to, you youngsters, you'll start to appreciate it when you get older. It is a great relaxer. The only thing that I missed out of it, Miriam, was, of course, as we've already discussed, not being able to tune into Le Mans, the start of Le Mans. That would have topped it off. But yes, here we go. Green light, pit exit is open, and no one is out on track right now. So there we go. There we go. Yeah, so this is an unrepresentative session, guys. As we've seen before, with the C6 compound as well, we're a step softer this weekend of the compounder tyres. If you're unaware and didn't tune in yesterday, yes, we have the C4, C5 and C6 tyres. So exactly how we had at Imola, of course, at Montreal, you don't really see degradation in relation to the actual wear of the tyre, but what you do see is tyre management, thermal degradation. So that's obviously managing the temperatures of the tyres rather than the actual tyre and the contact patch on the surface, and the surface being abrasive and that rubber wearing down. What wears the tyre down in this sense is the temperatures, so the amount of torque and wheel spin that you put for the rears because of the high traction zones and high acceleration zones because of the hairpins and the chicanes. And what that has done over yesterday is we've seen the teams struggle to find a balance with managing those rear tyres and, of course, getting temperature into the fronts because it's very difficult to do so here at Montreal. So, yeah, made for a very interesting session yesterday. Of course, the wind direction has changed as well. We've now got a westerly wind, so we'll see how that affects the drivers. We saw a lot of drivers losing control and actually spinning at turn 10, the hairpin, which is very unlike them. I think there was a tailwind into turn 10. So that will, kind of slight tailwind. So that maybe made them a little bit unsettled. But, yeah, we saw plenty of offs elsewhere as well. And, of course, a couple of big crashes with Stroll and Charles Leclerc. So interesting session, but going back to the tyres, why we might not see them out for so long at the moment is because they want to hold on to those C6 tyres for qualifying later. So they don't want to unnecessarily use more tyre compounds than they need to or want to. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what they actually do and whether we actually see any kind of new tyres here for the performance runs, which we normally tend to see. But yeah, we may have to wait till qualifying to see the general true pace of teams today and see whether or not they've actually sorted out those issues they saw yesterday. What do I think about Stroll's anger in the garage in Spain? Do I think that had anything to do with his worst injury flaring up again? I think it's a bit of both, Ollie. I think it's the frustration that he knows. Let's put it this way. Lance Stroll is not a happy man at the moment. He's not a happy man. He's not enjoying his time in F1. Body language. You don't have to be a body language expert to see that man does not want to be in F1 at the moment. Now, that's not to say that he doesn't want to be participating in F1 overall, but this season he clearly has no interest in F1 at the moment. And look, it's probably because of, I don't know if he pays attention to what's happening online, but he knows that he's being outperformed by Alonso. He knows that the car is not a car that he's going to be fighting for up the front as Colapinto comes out onto the grid, and he needs some important laps and track time. And he may in himself not even want to be in F1 now. I think he still does want to be in F1, but he's clearly a man with the injury on top of it. He's a man who's not happy. He's not happy whatsoever. And that's showing with his driving out on track. Yes, of course, he's always been a driver that has made more mistakes than others, but still, he should be doing better than that mistake yesterday. In hitting the wall out of turn 7 because it was just wasn't even a snap of oversteer or anything. I've seen people comment on under my short and TikTok that it's, oh, we've got understeer. You got understeer. Yeah, but loads of other drivers got understeer. And they lifted off a throttle and they acknowledged that they were not going to... They backed out of it and didn't go into the wall. You do that on the sim as well. You know very early on if you're understeering and going to go into that wall. And he just kept it planted and just, yeah, obviously broke his front left. So he's showing frustration because he's obviously still passionate, I guess, on the one hand. At least he's not pushing his trainer. But, yeah, he's not a happy bunny at the moment. Oh, hard compound tyre. Is this Stroll and Alonso? Speak of the devil, Stroll is out there. Is this them putting the hard compound tyre on just to scrub it off? His press conference was massive cringe. Yeah, also with what do you mean he's carrying Aston Martin, Taco? I guess even if it is Lance Stroll, you've got to back your countryman, haven't you? I think, yeah, it's very odd. I still don't think he's fit. I think there's some shenanigans happening behind the scenes. He kept his wrists and his hand very close in his pocket. He never showed it to anyone, so he doesn't want any media images being seen of his hands and his wrist. And I don't know. I don't think he's in the right mental state to be in F1 at the moment. He doesn't want to be there, and he's probably not fit enough. That's just my personal opinion. It's a total assumption, but I don't know. I said it yesterday. I don't think you need to be a medical professional to kind of go, well, if you have operation on a wrist or any part of your body, 2 weeks later you're going to be declared fit. Less than 2 weeks later, you're going to be declared fit to go and participate and drive a Formula One car. I don't know. That's just me. But Stroll finally realising he's not overly good, so he sulks. Maybe, yeah. It's frustration, isn't it? It's frustration that he's injured. It's frustration that he's just not happy in F1 at the moment. And I spoke to someone who used to work in the paddock, and he said you could hear Lance and Lawrence Stroll have arguments. Like, they properly go at it, him and his dad. And he said, he goes, the assessment from those up and down the paddock is that they're doing it, Lance Stroll is doing it for his dad. And Lawrence Stroll is vicariously, which is not really a surprise to anyone, but their assessment is that Lance Stroll is only doing it because his dad wants him to do it, not because he wants to be in F1. That's what people's understanding of them of the relationship is there. So he didn't work for Aston Martin, he worked for another team. But yeah, that's the kind of paddock talk. So unless someone's tuning into this stream right now and you have contacts in Aston Martin, or you know someone in Aston Martin and can verify that for us. But yeah, I think, and I don't think that's really, I think that's what most people assume anyway. Because yeah, he's never looked exactly happy in F1, has he, Lance? So can anyone explain why they're still in the pits? As we just mentioned, Shagufta, it's primarily due to the fact that it's an unrepresentative session. So the track temperature is going to be a lot hotter right now, 45 degrees. We saw we saw the FP2 session, which is held at the same time that qualifying is, later on in the afternoon, that the track temperatures come down quite considerably, down into the mid to high 30s. That plays an influential role into how the cars and the tyres perform, and with the softer compound tyre that we have here this year, the drivers and the teams need to be careful of how many tyres they actually use up to ensure that they've got enough for qualifying and of course for the race on Sunday, because that's going to be super important. But good to see Charles Leclerc is out there, ladies and gentlemen. So further information on his damage that he had yesterday. So it wasn't just a chassis that he had damage to yesterday. Supposedly there was damage to the life cell as well. So that had to be replaced, which of course is a very influential part of the, basically it's the cockpit pretty much of the car. So yes, no doubt that was influential reasons to why he couldn't get out and do FP2 yesterday. I presumed he hurt himself on purpose, and this makes me believe it even more. I don't think he hurt himself on purpose, but I don't think he was ever properly fit. He probably came back too soon anyway, and it's probably something... He may have been... It's like footballers. Like, you ask a footballer, or I guess kind of any athlete, and you ask them, when was you ever 100% fit when you were performing? And they will tell you, probably on one hand, the amount of times they were 100% fit. You as a human are always performing when you're doing sports with some little niggle somewhere, or you're not at 100% fitness, like in relation to like stamina and so forth. You're very, very rarely are you performing at 100%. And Lance Stroll has probably had a little niggle in his wrists that's probably has generally got worse and worse and worse over the years because he came back too soon. So yeah, but it could be that it had threw a tantrum in the garage last time out in Spain, and that's actually what, of course, done his wrist in. Because, there's no give if you're punching walls, is there? Primeval, you spoke with Lawrence Stroll, actually, and asked him about the AMR car and Lance's situation. And he said, what are you going to do in my house? Get out now. No worries, Georgian. No worries, Georgian. You could always watch the stream back, of course. Good to see you here anyway. As a friend joked, even before he hurt his wrist, Lance wasn't fit for an F1 car. Ooh. I think, look, we've mentioned it many times about Lance Stroll. He's shown flashes, but he hasn't shown enough, has he? Let's be honest. And the problem is that he has performed... We've seen the likes of Red Bull, of course, be a bit more brutal with their driver selections. But we've seen, obviously, other teams get rid of drivers that maybe we think should have remained as well. And while Lance Stroll was just seen through it all. So someone performs like Lance Stroll for as long as they have done, nearly up to a decade, then they wouldn't be given... No other driver would be given afforded that opportunity. So... do I watch Rocket Powered Mohawk? I don't. I've seen some of his stuff. It's not really my... I've said it before. His style of content isn't really my sort of content. So... I know he's not a fan of Stroll. Didn't Sainz get an appendix operation and got back in the car the next race? He did indeed, yes. However, I would argue that having your appendix removed is... not as bad as... is a lot more manageable than a wrist surgery. Like, fundamentally, the amount of forces... Yes, you're obviously exerting forces on your body with your core and so forth. And you are using your core, of course, with the G-forces and that in the car when you're driving around a circuit. But I would argue that the wrists and like your feet having... I would argue that your wrists and your feet are more influential into how, obviously, you drive the car. And if you have any sort of surgery on those, whether it be keyhole or major, I don't see how you'd be deemed to be fit enough within 2 weeks to participate in an F1 car with the amount of forces that you have to put on your feet by applying pressure on the pedals, and of course the forces, the feedback from the steering wheel. Interested to see who saves mediums for quali with slightly higher temps. The softs may not hold up. It's going to be interesting, Khalid. Yeah, I think drivers will try and hold back a set of mediums at least for the race. I think we'll see the hards used. Of course, we're a step softer, so the hards are technically last year's mediums. The mediums are last year's softs. So I think we'll mostly see... the softs used in quali. Maybe we'll see an outlier, but if you use a medium, you're going to be kind of maybe a bit of a sitting duck when it comes to the race on Sunday. It depends, obviously, whether or not you think there's going to be overtaking opportunities here this weekend. So Aston Martin took that gamble in Imola, and it paid off for them. So we'll see if they're the team that are going to take that gamble again. Charles Leclerc to the top of the timing screens. He needs as much lap time as he can get here today. Of course, missing out majority of FP1 yesterday, and of course all of FP2. Ferrari leading in Le Mans just to finish 7th and 8th in F1. Being semi-pro rugby union, about 10% of the time you were 100% fit. Exactly. It's a very small percentage of time that you are ever in peak performance, 100% fit. I mean, you look at footballers. Footballers are always having injections and they're always having, like, I mean, of course, there's so much emphasis now on the recovery. Obviously, it's in any sport, really, with ice baths and massages and physiotherapists and so forth to ensure that the body recovers as best as possible. But even so, like, even preparing for matches and races and so forth, whatever sport it is, very rarely are you ever at 100%. Some wrist injuries can mess up racing drivers, something awful, especially if they impact rotation. Exactly, yeah. Which is fundamental to obviously driving any car, isn't it? So, Anthony, when you had your appendix out, I was told I weren't allowed to drive because I might have to do an emergency stop, and that would rip me open. Exactly. Yeah, I mean, even Sainz coming back as soon as he did, and Albon coming back as soon as he did. I don't know. I think sometimes, while obviously there's a big emphasis on health and safety in F1, understandably so. Maybe when these sort of things happen, there's not, I say a blind eye, maybe a blind eye is turned to it, and the FIA, I mean, I guess who are the FIA to say that Aston Martin's physiotherapist or medical physician or whatever is better than anyone that they've got on board, you know? Who are they to tell Aston Martin and the other drivers that they're not deemed fit enough to drive, you know? I just don't think it's probably the realm that the FIA have ever got into. The teams have a lot more money in that sense, and they invest a lot more in those areas to ensure that their drivers are fit and as best as possible to drive in F1. So, and that's true, Primeval, but that's like any sportsman. You tell any sportsman that they're not fit enough to play, the majority of times that the sportsman will tell them, no, I am fit enough to play, and it's down to management to make that decision for them. So, unless they've literally got, obviously, like a broken foot or something, or they can't walk. You could totally see Stroll doing well in GT3. He might go to the hypercar. I think that's what he's always been linked to, is the hypercar, isn't it, team? So, Johnny Herbert was in agony for all his F1 career. Was that because of his crash that he had in Brands Hatch? Is that right? Well, this is it, V42, isn't it? Is that they have a lot of access to treatments that us normies don't have access to on the regular. So, but there obviously is a limit, isn't there? But we'll see. It was only a little knock for Lance Stroll yesterday, but yeah, it does seem. I'm just still surprised that he came back so quickly. But anywho, Charles Leclerc getting some laps in, ladies and gentlemen, on the medium compound tyre, the soft tyre of last year. This time around, it's the medium this time around to try and entice some more strategy options like we saw at Imola. And, well, he has done a 12.843. Of course, the fastest time we saw yesterday was George Russell with a 12.1, I think it was. So, not far off of the fastest lap of last year, which is a 1:12.0 exactly, set by George himself and Max Verstappen in qualifying. So we're still yet to see that time be beaten. No doubt. Well, I say no doubt. We may or may not see it beaten when it comes to qualifying. I do expect it to be beaten in qualifying. But this C6 tyre, we have seen it be potentially a bit of an issue managing it around the duration of a lap as Lewis Hamilton goes up into P4 there. So, yeah, while it is technically they can go quicker in particular sectors, it doesn't last as long. It is most definitely kind of a single lap tyre. Ryan Brundle smashed his ankles to bits and never accomplished his goals. Oof. Yeah. Do I think we'll see Max or Yuki move to Aston in 27-28? I think so, yes. I can see both of them going there. I think Honda, of course, will be pushing. I don't know what the deal is with Honda and Red Bull. I still presume, unfortunately, Yuki fans, that he will be out of that seat come the end of the year. I think it is a one-year deal, with Honda, of course, moving away from Red Bull and moving to Aston Martin, that link is always going to be strong. But I think he may be out of the seat come the end of come the end of this year or after this season. I think Verstappen will stay for at least 2026 as a yellow flag as Hulkenberg has hit the World Champions, I believe, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, is that our first victim in the World Champions, or is that just Nico Hulkenberg who has gone to the escape road? We have seen many drivers go through the escape road at the World Champions, and I think that may be the case if Hulkenberg has continued. We will see a replay. Ooh. But as I say that, I'm literally watching a replay right now with Fernando Alonso, who went on at the Wall of Champions as well. So we're seeing lots of drivers struggle still with their braking, as Alonso reports no rear grip today down into the turn 13 and 14 chicane, the last couple of corners. But Fernando Alonso waiting to see Nico Hulkenberg. It's odd that they threw a yellow flag. So Hulkenberg must have had a bit of a wobble. He must have come almost to a standstill, I presume, for them to throw a yellow flag. It did seem like that on the track map. Just waiting to still see a replay as they're just looking at the onboard of Lando Norris. Oh, he had a little wiggle mid-corner through the last chicane as well. Yeah, the driver's still struggling with these tyres. They're still struggling. It's going to be interesting with qualifying later and, of course, the race tomorrow. Surprised to see actually Antonelli and Russell specifically out there on the hard compound tyre, because I presume that is going to be the tyre of choice when it comes to the race on Sunday. Hulkenberg spun. Yeah, I'm still yet to see a replay. Don't know why the TV coverage is like, oh yeah, well, it's not worth showing. Oh my God, Piastri just hit the wall. Piastri, I think, most definitely just hit the World Champions there. Is he okay? He definitely hit that quite hard, Piastri. He's going slowly, but I think the car is okay. No, he's got a right rear puncture. Piastri, oh, is he? No, hang on. Piastri has, I think, he's definitely got a right rear puncture. I'm not sure if he's broken the suspension, but Piastri has hit the Wall of Champions. We were on board with him as he went through it, and he has a right rear puncture. The wheel is definitely hanging off of the rim, and Piastri has hit the Wall of Champions. Don't know if it's suspension damage. As I'm just watching a replay now, it's definitely just like Norris did. I said both McLarens there got snaps as they went through the exit of turn 13 and 14. And there's lots of carbon fibre that came off there. So that is a lot of damage that he has done to the car and maybe the suspension, Oscar Piastri. Oh dear. 2025 champion Oscar Piastri confirmed. And there we go, red flag. Red flag for that debris that has come off of Oscar Piastri's car there from him hitting the Wall of Champions. And yes, that was a big impact. And yeah, understandably, there is a lot of debris at the Wall of Champions from Oscar Piastri's car. Still yet to see exactly what happened with Nico Hulkenberg. But yeah, that McLaren looking a bit skittish on the exit of turn 14. We saw Lando Norris go through there and he had a bit of a moment, but he was able to keep it out of the wall, and Piastri has not been able to do so. Will Piastri make it for qualifying? Yeah. I mean, he's okay. He's driving that car around. It does just look like... It looks like that it's just... It looks like it's just a puncture. The suspension... No, so hang on. So looking at the rear angle of that McLaren now, the suspension does seem to be intact. It could be potentially at the actual wheel rim itself. As we're now watching a replay of Nico Hulkenberg, eventually, to see exactly what occurred with him when he brought out the yellow flag. And... oh my God! Oh my goodness! Nico Hulkenberg actually spun through the chicane and skimmed... oh no, he did hit the Wall of Champions backwards. But he kind of skimmed along the Wall of Champions. Oh my goodness! He took damage to his rear wing and slightly to his front wing as well. And Nico Hulkenberg has just finessed the Wall of Champions going through it backwards. Oh my goodness. Well done, KLM. Yes, you were correct. Wow, he's literally gone into the Wall of Champions backwards. Nico Hulkenberg with the techers there. Stylish. 10 out of 10 for style. Where is the Wall of Champions? It is basically the Wall of Champions is turn 14. It's the exit of turn 14. And it's called the Wall of Champions because a number of champions over the years have crashed and ended their races and their weekends into that barrier. So I think this circuit always brings actions. I wish there was more older traditional circuits on the calendar. I agree. I think Montreal's a great circuit. So yes, if you're just joining us, guys, we do have a red flag for some debris at the Wall of Champions, turn 14, because Oscar Piastri hit the Wall of Champions. He lost the rear a little bit, and it hit the Wall of Champions, which caused him to have a right rear puncture, and it looks like it did quite considerable damage to the wheel rim itself. So the suspension seems to be intact. So Oscar Piastri has got away with one there, arguably, with that contact, and he will be able to probably get back out for this session if there is no further damage that we visibly cannot see. But yes, looking from the rear view shots of that McLaren, this suspension did seem to be intact. So they're clearing the debris right now from that last sector. And that won't take them too long before we get back on the way. But yeah, just before that, as we mentioned, we saw Norris have a little bit of a moment through there as well on the exit, the rear stepping out. But he was able to control the car, and Piastri was able to control it as well. But of course, it made obviously contact into the Wall of Champions. Is he okay? Yeah, everyone's okay. No, all good. He was able to drive the car back round to the pit lane. So session will resume at 57 minutes past, or 3 minutes to. So you're talking literally within less than a minute, and the session will resume, guys, here. Hulk was driving the Sauer backwards to see if it's faster in that direction, which, to be fair, it likely is. Oh, you say that, though. Credit to Sauber. They brought some upgrades. And I'm calling them upgrades because they had the desired effect. Nico Hulkenberg finished 5th, bear in mind, at the Spanish Grand Prix last time out, on merit. On merit. He overtook Lewis Hamilton in the closing stages. He had a very quick car at Barcelona, and those updates they brought evidently worked. So Nico Hulkenberg, don't sleep on him. What just happened? Well, good to see you, by the way, buddy. It is a red flag because Oscar Piastri hit the Wall of Champions. His right rear hit the Wall of Champions. The wheel rim damaged quite considerably, caused him to have a puncture, which he was able to get back round to the pit lane. They're assessing the damage now to see if there's any further damage, and they just brought out the red flag to clear quite a bit of debris that came off of that McLaren. So yes, green light, pit exit is now open, and we are back underway with 32 minutes remaining of this FP3 session. Why wish they'd hold the clock in practice for red flags? Yeah, I mean, the reason they don't do it in red flags is because they want to ensure that they have obviously a schedule of running throughout the weekend, and they don't want to affect other motorsport series that are running at the same time. And they also want to make sure that if there are red flags in qualifying or the race, well, mainly qualifying, like the important sessions, that they have as much time as possible to complete those. So that's why we see qualifying paused, and that's why we see the race paused. Wall of Champions looks harmless, but maybe that's because it gathers a lot of careless hits. Yeah, it is, yeah. I mean, you can get on throttle too early, can't you? You're starting to annoy me on my lap. Come on. Down there. Oscar, future world driver champion confirmed. Yeah, I know. Thank you for the subs, by the way, guys. Much appreciated. Wow, we are fast approaching 47,000 subs and fast approaching 50,000 subscribers. So, yeah, big thanks to everyone who has discovered the channel this year. It has grown exponentially and continues to do so. So, thank you, guys. If you're just discovering us for the first time, what took you so long? I'm only kidding. But yes, no, welcome. Of course, we have qualifying in a few hours' time as well, which is going to be a very interesting one. As we've mentioned before, the C6 tyre here, we saw qualifying in Imola be a very interesting qualifying, and I think we're going to see that again here this weekend. And also, it looks like McLaren maybe aren't the outright quickest. They could be challenged here in qualifying, most particularly from that of George Russell, and who was our pole sitter last year. So that's going to be very intriguing. And, of course, we have an interesting race set up for tomorrow. Now, are F1 teams contracted to a minimum number of laps in free practice? No. I don't think they are. I mean, maybe. I mean, they'd be very silly to do so if in any sponsorship contracts. But no, they can do as many laps as they possibly can fit in. It's entirely up to them. It's free practice. It's called free practice, free for a reason. You're free to do as many laps as you like, or as little laps as you like. Hey, Rob Sticks, good to see you, mate. Welcome. 50k by the end of June. Hopefully. That'd be great. Yeah, we only have the 2 races in June, so maybe a bit difficult to do. But yeah, we're obviously creating the content in and around the sport as well. We don't just do the live streams. Of course, I'm trying to focus on doing some more short form content for you all, and I'll be doing some more opinionated content as well now I'm back from my holidays. So F1 never sleeps, as we know. It's always moving. The wheel never stops, and yeah, there's still plenty to talk about. So even in the off weeks, I'll still be providing you guys some content. That's my plan. I'm not sure gaming. Not sure. I'm sure there is, but I'm not going to be promoting any of those because they're illegal. Have I ever tried driving the ARCA series on iRacing? I haven't, no. As I said, my time is a bit limited at the moment. I'm nearly got 2 months off. I've got paternity leave coming up. My business is very fortunate. I work for a very good business where we get very favourable paternity term. So I've got 2 months off from work coming up in July and August. I'm off. But of course, I'll be taking on the duty of a stay-at-home parent for that time while the missus goes back to work. So yeah, that will afford me to do some more content during the week while she's sleeping. Than I would do, of course, when I normally have the day job. But yeah, no, it's sim racing is a bit of a luxury at the moment for me. But I am looking to get back on it and do more races, especially with the new season just getting underway on iRacing. Where on track did Hulkenberg spin? Oh, Cal, you missed it. He went through the wall of champions, turned 13 and 14. He went through it backwards. Stylish from the German. Honestly, brilliant. Have I ever tried Project Cars? Project Cars 2 was my first ever sim that I played. I played it on Xbox initially. So, Hamilton's engineer said Leclerc is engine mode 1, so probably more power than others at the moment. Hey, Connor, good to see you, mate. Yeah, probably. Well, he needs to get those performance runs in. He had no performance runs, of course, yesterday. At least some of the drivers here, if they're not doing their performance runs, he, of course, missed the only representative session yesterday, didn't he? FP2 with the cooler temps, which the track temperature is starting to cool a little bit now. You can see there, 42 degrees. It did get up to about 45, pushing 46. We saw FP2 yesterday get down to 36 degrees, which made a big difference on lap times and, of course, the management of the softer compound tyres that we have here this weekend. Yeah, Charles Leclerc obviously having to make up for lost time and try and get as much running in as possibly he can in this last 27 minutes. Alonso again faster than Hamilton and Verstappen. Lovely. Yeah, Alonso, of course. Can he score his first points last time out? 2 points in Spain. Can he continue that form? As Lawson up into P10. But let's have a rundown of the grid at the moment, shall we? I say the grid, the timings at the moment. So Charles Leclerc, 12.843. So we're still some way off the fastest times that we saw yesterday, which was a 1:12.1 from George Russell. Norris up there in P2, 12.98. Alonso, a 13 dead. And then as we move down, Hamilton, Russell, Hadjar in 6th, Stroll in 7th, Behrman 8th, Verstappen 9th. I'm intrigued to see how Verstappen's going to get on here this weekend because he was around that 9th, wasn't he? I think he was 9th yesterday in FP2. And he was struggling with the temperatures of the brakes in particular. Complained that the car was very nervy. You normally see Verstappen and Red Bull, if they struggle on a Friday, turn it around on the Saturday. But 10th at the moment is not overly that great. As Lando Norris fastest in the first sector, by the way, on a set of mediums. So Lando Norris is getting on the move, by the way, guys. But yeah, we'll keep an eye on Verstappen and see how he gets on and see if he can improve his times at all and see if that Red Bull at a circuit where thermal deg is important and management, see if he can deal with it. As Verstappen does go green in the first sector and green in the second, but you can see there those sector times comfortably slower than that of Norris on the medium as well, which is the slightly harder compound. Albon too far back at the moment. Yeah, not really able to get a lap in at the moment. Of course, traffic's going to be very influential when it comes to qualifying later on. We have seen penalties be dished out in the past here, as we can see. But Norris goes top of the timing screens there over 112.3. As I think the medium is probably the overall. I reckon the medium, in these track temperatures especially, I think the medium is definitely the tyre of choice. As we'll see if Russell can keep that soft compound tyre. Can he keep it in the right window to the finish line? Or has he lost performance in it? Just about. Oh, wow. Alex Albon reporting that the car feels totally different to yesterday. So Alex Albon, who was in the top 3 yesterday in FP1 and then in FP2, he was looking very good as well. He's reporting that his Williams is not feeling as good as yesterday. Oh dear, that's not very good for Albon, who's currently down in 18th. So yeah, he's having troubles. Yuki Tsunoda in 19th at the moment, guys. What is going on with Yuki? What is going on with Yuki? But yeah, Lando Norris there, able to basically set a lap on 10-lap-old mediums, 9-lap-old mediums at the time. But as quick as George Russell on a set of younger softs. Just kind of proves that I think in these track temperatures, the medium just lasts longer. I think you can manage that thermal deg much better, understandably, on a harder compound tyre compared to the softs. Although that's still a great effort by George, so... yeah, if the track temperatures really need to cool somewhat, I think, for that soft compound tyre to be properly decent. But I'm sure they'll make it work. But we could see, if the track temperatures are like this later on, we could see some more teams gambling on the medium for track position. Verstappen was topping the charts when the cars are on mediums and with full load, so race pace is looking good for Red Bull. Race pace may look good for Red Bull. Hang on. As Max is reporting, I'm still lacking bite in the brake material. It's not good. Yeah, Max may have looked good in his race runs, but it's no good if you're starting down in 9th, is it, or 8th. We've said this before, that your race pace can look very good, but with how close the performance is in the cars now in qualifying, you can have very good race pace, but you're not, very, very rarely now are you going to win races from 7th or 8th, or 6th even. You need to be started on the second row at minimum, you know? So that's what obviously Max will be looking to do. Half a second back from George Russell's time at the moment. I mean, George looks like the one he could be snatching pole. As oh, there we go. There's me going about Max, as he's just done a fastest first sector. So maybe he's about to put me in my place right now. How was Leclerc looking after yesterday? I hope he's improved. Not really too much to write home about with Charles Leclerc. He's a 12.843. I mean, he's just trying to obviously get important lap time and data in. Really, right now, as he missed importantly Charles Leclerc for him. I'm surprised he hasn't used a set of soft share. Maybe he'll come into the pits, but Charles Leclerc, or maybe he won't, but he really does need to kind of do, you would presume, a performance run, as he has plenty of softs available because he missed the whole of FP2 and FP2 and FP1 yesterday. So, as I'm just watching an onboard of Ollie Behrman, and he also skimmed the wall of World Champions. So, what's the inventory and tyre compounds? Softs, mediums and hards? Yes, Pharaoh. And we're using the C6 this weekend. As Max does improve, by the way, a 12.4. So, a better improvement from him. But that's still 4 tenths of obviously what we saw in last year's pole position. We do expect last year's pole position to be smashed, as it has so often been the case this season. As Hamilton's gone fastest in the middle sector. Where's that come from? Let's keep an eye on Lewis Hamilton, shall we? He might get a lap time affected here, though. I don't know if his last sector's been affected at all with that traffic, as Russell moves out of the way. Sainz also moves out of the way for him. He might have had his last sector affected here by that traffic, so we'll see what his lap time is as he comes across the line on the set of mediums. Excuse me? Excuse me, Lewis Hamilton? Turn 13 incident involving Alonso and Behrman noted. So that was impeding there in the last corner for Fernando Alonso, who's so often on the radio when it comes to drivers impeding him. It seems like he may be on the receipt. It may have done the impeding there. But wow, the medium compound tyre looking a very good tyre. Could we see some of the top teams use it? As George Russell is now going. George Russell's going quicker on a set of used mediums, as we've got a yellow, as Hadjar has lost control of the car through turn 2. And, well, we saw Colapinto lose it and spin it in FP1 and FP2 in exactly the same fashion. And I think Hadjar's just done the same, as there is a double yellow as Hadjar gone off. And he has got going again, Isaac Hadjar. So Isaac Hadjar has got going again. I do presume that he has done exactly what Colapinto has done, as George Russell was going fastest in the first and second sector. And he is about to set the fastest lap, you do presume, on this set of used softs. So, wow, George Russell doing some performance runs here on a set of 7-lap-old softs. That's very intriguing. As, yes, Isaac Hadjar is facing the wrong way round when it came to turn 1. And I'll tell you what, he's a bit fortunate that he didn't drive too much further back down the grid there, as we have seen our first lap time this weekend quicker than a 1:12, and Isaac Hadjar, George Russell goes in with an 11.950. That is officially quicker than last year's pole position, set by the very man at the top of your timing screens right now, George Russell. So George Russell there with an 11.950. And interesting that he set that lap time on a set of used softs, considerably used softs. So, yes, definitely going to see the pole position of last year, that lap time smashed. And, well, yes, Oscar Piastri only went up into P5 there on a set of fresh softs. That's intriguing. That's intriguing. Oscar Piastri potentially struggling here this weekend. He's has said that the car has needed more dialing in. As I'm watching the replay of Isaac Hadjar, and yeah, he just lost control, just lost the rear. Just lost the rear around the corner of turn 1. It's very, very interesting that he's lost the rear there. Oh, that was very bizarre, as Hadjar reports. Sorry about that. Hey Troy, good to see you. George was only faster because Hamilton was on top when they were teammates. For some reason, he drove faster whenever Hamilton was driving well last year. What's my favourite track? It's Silverstone. Oh, Silverstone. Love Silverstone. Yeah, British bias. Don't care. I love it. Always provides great racing, and it's great to race on when it comes to the simulator, at least, anyway. Guys, if you could hit the like button, it'd be much appreciated. Can we get this stream to 1,000 likes? Can we get a practice stream to 1,000 likes? Surely we can do it. And, of course, if you want to support the stream further, you can hit that subscribe button and become a member as well. We're trying to hit 100 members. Can we do that this weekend? That'd be great. Pole for Lewis. Not anymore at the moment. Do I follow MotoGP? Heard the guy calling. He looks like coming strong. I don't know. I don't follow MotoGP. Bike racing's never really been my thing. But the Missed Apex podcast, they do you can find a link to them in the description below. They do also have a MotoGP podcast, so I highly recommend that you listen to those guys. They're very passionate about the sport. But yeah, MotoGP's something that I've never really got interested in. I've always been about 4 wheels, not 2. Multiviewer code, multiviewer. Do something, Sonoda. Yeah, Sonoda's been in the pits for quite some time. He potentially has an issue. How many laps has Sonoda done thus far? He's only done 10 laps overall. So Yuki Tsunoda, this session not boding well for him. We have 17 minutes remaining. We are seeing some brand new softs go on to the cars here, as we can see on Ocon, Behrman at the moment. As Behrman does cross the line and go P6 there. So we are seeing some performance runs as we are in the last session before qualifying. As Esteban Ocon, can he improve? Albon improves finally, but not to the dizzying heights that we saw yesterday, as he has reported that he's struggling with that Williams. It's not the same Williams that he had yesterday, is what he was stating, but we'll see. Sainz currently in P10, as he's still out there just doing some long runs on this set of softs. As Ocon only goes 13th. Wow, big divide there from Ocon and Behrman, isn't there? 3 tenths between the two Haas drivers as Lawson goes up into P15 on a set of... he's also doing a long run on a set of used softs at the moment. Oscar Piastri, is he on another push lap? Doesn't seem to be right now. 29.1 for Oscar. He did improve. He didn't improve there, did he, last time around? His last lap was a 1:12.527. and his best lap was a 1:12.519. So I think Oscar is genuinely struggling a little bit here, guys, this weekend. And the McLarens have a bit of pace to find. George Russell, I would say, is at the moment looking favourite for pole position, just from what we've seen. But let's see, shall we? As we now have fresh softs on the Hamilton and the McLaren of Lando Norris. So let's see what these drivers can do, shall we? This is where things are going to get tasty. This is where things are going to get interesting. Any information on weather forecast for F1 over the weekend? No. I mean, it's just, well, clear, really. It's going to be clear. That's pretty much it. So let me just bring out this a bit more so you can see tyres. It's not really essential to see those tyres, actually. You only really need to see the tyres that they're on at the moment, to be perfectly honest with you. I think that's suitable. Do I remember watching 2011? I do. I do remember watching 2011 Grand Prix with Jenson Button. Yeah. Albon seems to have picked up the pace a bit, even though he was complaining about the car. I wonder if they adjusted the car or if he adjusted it himself. Potentially. Yeah. I don't know what obviously would make him feel that way, but he clearly wasn't happy with the car. But let's stay on board with Lewis Hamilton, shall we? As he started his first push lap here on a brand new set of soft compound tyres. Let's see how he gets on in that Ferrari. And he's gone fastest in the first sector, nearly in the 19 seconds there in sector 1. We haven't seen a driver go sub 20 seconds in that first sector. George Russell's also out on a set of softs as well. So here we go. This is the interesting part of practice, guys. With 14 minutes remaining, we are seeing some push laps here in the closing stages of FP3. And wow, Norris not as quick as Hamilton in the first sector, as Hamilton is about a tenth down on George Russell in that middle sector. So I don't know if he had a bit of an issue maybe, or if he's just lost a bit of performance on that soft by maybe going too hard in the first sector. But as he makes his way down to turn 13 and 14, track temperature is 45 degrees at the moment, and wow, Norris 2 temps on Hamilton there in the middle sector. We do know that McLaren has looked very good over the curbs this season, as Hamilton only goes with a 1:12 flat, so he lost a bit of time there. Lost quite a bit of time there, and he was a tenth down on his fastest last sector. How about Lando Norris, though? Of course, his teammate has already touched the Wall of Champions through turn 14, bringing out a brief red flag. How does he fare? Comes across the line, and he goes fastest with a 1:11.799, a 1:11.8, basically. Intriguing. Oscar Piastri is in the pits. We'll see if he slaps on another set of brand new softs or if he's already done his performance runs. Max is also on his way out as well. Let's keep an eye on Charles Leclerc, shall we? Of course, he binned it yesterday in turn 4. Before he even got into turn 4, he is now doing his first push lap of this weekend. In the red Ferrari. He has a brand new set of softs available to him at the moment as he makes his way through turn 5, and Charles Leclerc goes fifth fastest in the first sector at the moment. Of course, a bit of traffic for him to contend with up ahead. DRS open, as you can see there, in the second DRS zone here at the circuit Villeneuve. As he makes his way through turn 8 and turn 9. Needs to be careful of the exit there. No room for error through these chicanes. Walls everywhere. As we have already seen, many drivers brush them and hit them too hard. Stroll yesterday, of course, through turn 7. And Oscar Piastri earlier on through turn 14, the Wall of Champions. But Charles Leclerc is improving through that middle sector. But that middle sector, due to that traffic, yep, that's a very slow middle sector for Charles Leclerc. 23 flat, so unfortunately traffic has got in the way of this push lap for Charles Leclerc, which is a shame for us. We won't know his true pace. Maybe we can see what his last sector was like. As no, it looks like he also bowed out of his last sector as well, understandably. So still plenty in the tank for Charles Leclerc. As Verstappen has his lap was starting. Or is he going to start his lap now? Lando Norris is about to start another push lap, so we'll keep an eye out on him, as we have seen drivers, particularly George Russell. George Russell seems to have bowed out of his first push lap. Right, let's keep an eye on Verstappen, shall we? Let's keep an eye on Verstappen. Is he actually pushing this time around? Let's see, as he makes his way down to turn 3. Use of tyres have become a determining factor. We don't have the allocation that is available for drivers, Crolido. Pirelli don't actually make that available to us. They don't make it available to us how many tyres each team has. and what they've used. We only get that when it comes to the graphic that I show you guys Sunday morning. So yeah, if I could show you that, I would do. But yeah, it's kind of like mental maths really in trying to figure out which team has used what tyre and so forth. So the race is tomorrow. Yes. Is it only spelled curb in F1, or do you spell curb as curb? I think we spell curb as C-U-R-B. I think that's the American spelling and the British spelling. As Max Verstappen, wow, 22.7 in the middle sector. This is a quick lap time, but is it quick enough to go to the top of the timing screens? Unless it's a very, very good last sector, I think he's going to go into P2. And wow, he had a bit of a slow last sector there, Max. Wow, that's interesting. What happened to his last sector? Just watching his onboard. And I mean, he didn't noticeably do anything different. The Red Bull just seems to be a bit slower. The Red Bull is just losing time without Max actually doing anything. Oh, he had a bit of a snap through the last chicane, so that potentially lost him a couple of attempts. Okay, so the last chicane, he lost a couple of attempts there, so that potentially is what lost him a lot of time. But still, he was 2 attempts down by coming to the third sector there. So Max Verstappen, that Red Bull just not looking overly quick at the moment. But we know Max can dig deep. We know he can dig deep when it matters, when it comes to it. The word curb and therefore also curb originates from the old French word courbe. I probably butchered that. So, meaning curved. It became curb in the UK in the 17th century. Oh, is curb K-E-R-B the British spelling? Okay. I didn't know that. Why can Yuki get a good quality session? We know he could be better in a junior car, but a senior team he found to get that grip. Yeah, well, we know. I mean, he's definitely got an issue. I haven't yet heard it on the TV coverage through my earpiece of what is the issue with Yuki Tsunoda's car. But he has been in the pits for the majority of this session. He's only done 10 laps, and that's been on the medium compound. So for Yuki, it doesn't bode well, does it, at the moment in that Red Bull? Obviously, there's not much he can do about it. If there is a mechanical issue that needs to be fixed in that Red Bull car, that's out of his hands. He hasn't crashed it. But yeah, he would love to be out there getting some push laps in right now. But look how busy the last sector is there as they're all looking to try and set up their laps, with a couple of them on push laps at the moment. I think Charles Leclerc was on a... no, he was on a push lap previously. He's not on one now. Liam Lawson's on a push lap. Or was... I don't know who's on a push lap, to be honest with you. Lawson comes into the pits. Well, we'll see. We'll see. Lewis Hamilton on a push lap? No. You can see instantly that they're not, because of their first sector times being out to the 23, 24 second range. On their push laps, they'll be in the 20-second range. Antonelli's on a push lap at the moment, so we'll keep an eye on him. The young Finn. Finn? Why am I calling him a Finn? He's not Finn. I'm thinking of Kimi Räikkönen. Sorry, the young Italian. Apologies, Kimi. He is named after the Finn, Kimi Räikkönen. Or that's why his middle name is Kimi. Okay, right, so P9 there for Kimi. Amazing how entire language conventions are so now sort of like recent history. Perhaps Tsunoda has been sacked and the car just sat there with no driver. No, he won't be sacked. They still want their money. They still want that fresh Honda money. So, honestly, the staff at Red Bull of hemorrhage have caused insane damage to their team. Yeah, I mean, this is the case for most teams as well. Like, any team that dominates for a long time, they get pinched by others. And, of course, especially the teams that are based in the UK, they're all based around Milton Keynes. So it's not like that they're having to up sticks and move to another country. As Charles Leclerc is going to improve here, he does improve with a 112.317. But, of course, that is on a second push lap on those set of softs. So, but what we're seeing here right now is that it's very difficult to get push laps in because of traffic. I mean, it's a very busy circuit out there at the moment. We only have Norris in the pits, as Piastri is now out of the pits. And he's on the same set of softs. So he's saving softs. So we're not going to see Piastri's true pace, but he has struggled a little bit. Track temperatures are still higher, guys, by the way, 45.8 degrees. So we do expect qualifying to come down in temperature, which should help with the lap times. Oh, my goodness. Just watching Pierre Gasly there. As Gasly, I think, nearly crashed into his own teammate there. Oh, my goodness. That would have boded well. As Gasly reporting, he's very upset. He's starting to get Starting to get really upset with the traffic out there at the moment. Yeah, it was. Gasly came through. And nearly crashed into his own teammate. Oh, my God. Yuki's out. Well done, Yuki. Let's see what he can do. He's going to run out of time here. Only 5.5 minutes remaining. But Yuki is going to get some push laps in here. Alex Albon's on a push lap at the moment. Liam Lawson's gone quite quick in the first sector, by the way, guys. Keep an eye on that. 20.188. That's not too bad from Liam Lawson. 6th fastest in the first sector. Let's see. Hopefully Yuki will move out of his way. He will indeed. A 23.116 though in the middle sector is not good. So he's lost a lot of time in that middle sector. That's a bit of a shame. Lance Stroll up into... Where's Lance Stroll at the moment? He's in P15 as they're showing an onboard of him. But Yuki making his way down the back straight as it currently stands. And he's being closed down upon by Ollie Bearman as he makes his way into turn 13. He'll have to move out of the way for Bearman, maybe. No, Bearman comes into the pits as Lawson bled time considerably there, didn't he? They had a very slow last sector. But let's stay on board, shall we, with Yuki Tsunoda and Charles Leclerc, interestingly, who is gone... He's gone third fastest in the first sector. Charles Leclerc improving here on considerably used softs. So let's keep an eye on Charles Leclerc as well, as he seems to have a bit of free air ahead of him. So we'll see if he's able to. As Alonso, where does Alonso come from? That first sector by Alonso is unbelievable. Fernando Alonso, 20.029 through the first sector. He's third fastest. He's only 1,000th of a second behind Lando Norris, who is currently at the top of the timing screens through Sector 1. He's gone 8th fastest in the middle sector, but Fernando Alonso going quite nicely here, and thankfully traffic hasn't got in the way for him as Leclerc did back out of that push lap. Go on, Fernando. Could Fernando jump to the top of the timing screens here or get sub 112? Let's see. Fernando Alonso. Green in the first sector, green in the second sector. How about this last one? And, well, he goes 5th. Not bad, as Norris is going quickest again. Norris turning it on when it matters, of course. When it matters is qualifying in a few hours' time, ladies and gentlemen. But FP3 is important, of course. McLaren's did look like they were struggling yesterday, but might have, Norris in particular, might be red flag infringement, Yuki Tsunoda. Oh, really? Red flag infringement for Yuki. Just leave him be. He's down in P20 at the moment. He's hardly done any running in this session. Let the man be, please. Ask an F1 driver where they live and they say Monaco, but they really live in Milton Keynes. Well, yeah, that's true. Max backed out twice, probably because they're informed on the radar that they're just going to hit traffic and there's no point. So there's no point. If there's traffic further up ahead, there's no point keeping your foot in it. So... Why is there such a big gap between practice 3 and quali in Canada? I don't know why, to be honest with you. Yeah, this one is a little bit earlier. Just the scheduling. So, hey, Renak, just tuned in and have been observing that Piastri has been in the pits for some time. Now that he's coming back out, can you please tell us what happened to him early in the session? Yeah, so he hit the wall of champions, basically. Caused damage to his right rear tyre. Brought out the red flag for debris very briefly. And I don't know if there was maybe some underlying damage that had been caused to that McLaren because of that. It did only seem to be externally, nothing to the suspension. But yeah, I mean, Piastri has been off the pace of Norris this weekend thus far. He hasn't looked like he's been on it. So Piastri really does need to kind of turn it on come qualifying. To be honest with you, it has looked uncharacteristically like Piastri this season to be as far off the pace as he has done in practice. But we'll see if he can turn it on and find that pace when it matters in qualifying. Overcompensating for the Stroll P11, truly a driver, a future world champion. He could have I'll tell you what, I've said it before, he's currently P13. He could have a championship winning car in the future. If Aston Martin nail it and Honda nail it. So, but yeah, qualifying is going to be super. Oh my goodness, Charles Leclerc has just done the first sub 20 second first sector. Charles Leclerc, everyone. Could he get pole position later on? Have Ferrari found some pace? And this is on 8-lap old softs, by the way, guys. Charles Leclerc, let's see what he could do, shall we? Through the middle sector as it currently stands. Is he going to hit a bit of traffic? Verstappen literally comes to a standstill to let him through. Let's see how he gets on through that middle sector. 22.792. So that is fourth fastest. That's quicker than his teammate in the middle sector. So Charles Leclerc could be going towards the top of the timing screens here. He's lost a bit of time in the middle sector. But yes, let's see how close he can get to Lando Norris's time on a set of considerably used softs. That's very, very interesting. Oh, P2, less than a tenth. Charles Leclerc. Charles Leclerc. At the end, at the death of Q3, he missed FP1, he missed FP2, and well, he has just chucked in. He has just chucked in a very, very good lap there at the end on considerably used softs. But there we go. That is the end pretty much of this session, guys. I have... did I say Q3? Oh, FP3. FP3, not Q3. I've linked the stream to the qualifying watch-along, guys. You can click on that. As checkered flag, time has run out. FP3 is over and done with. Max Verstappen is on a lap. We'll stay on board with Max unless he decides to back out of it. A 20.039 for him in the first sector. That's fifth fastest at the moment. So middle sector for him is a 22.884. Not bad, not bad. At the moment, the fastest is a 22.6 from Lando. Let's see if he does keep pushing to the finish line here as he gets a cheeky little toe from Gabriel Bortoletto. Of course, good friends off track, the two drivers there, as Max is going to go to the finish line here. And, well, unless he's decided to back out in the last sector, he does improve, but it's a 1:12.0. As Charles Leclerc, as he crossed the line there, less than 1/10 back from Lando Norris, said too many mistakes. So he wasn't happy with that lap. So, yes, still plenty in the tank for Charles Leclerc with that time being set on used softs. But it is Lando Norris heading into FP3 at the top of the timing screens. They were struggling a little bit yesterday. But it seems Lando does feel a lot more confident here than his championship rival and teammate, Oscar Piastri, who is down in P8 at the moment. Of course, he's already hit that wall of champions. And like we saw in Monaco, has that potentially just given him a little bit of, like, dent in confidence? As the red flag infringement for Yuki has been noted. We saw that maybe that hit he had into the barrier in Monaco kind of, I think, overall ended up being the difference of why obviously he didn't qualify on pole and was a little bit off the pace. But he has seemed to be, as Bortoletto is also noted for red flag infringement. I'm not entirely sure what those drivers did under red flag conditions earlier on. But yes, Norris definitely seems to be looking favourable over his teammate for this this weekend, but he's going to have it. He's going to have it all to do in qualifying. As Charles Leclerc, who missed FP1 and FP2, most of FP1, and he missed all of FP2 yesterday, is in P2 and looks pretty decent. As Alonso is reporting, the car is impossible to drive. Never happy, that man, as he's in P6. George Russell looks like he's going to be very quick as well. He'll be looking to start on the front row. Lewis Hamilton in P4. Verstappen in P5. Alonso P6. Antonelli P7. Piastri, we know, who had that touch with the Wall of Champions. Has he got some underlying damage there? Or is it just a bit of lack of confidence from the championship leader? Sainz in 9th. Albon in 10th. The Williams not looking as good as it did yesterday. So hopefully we'll see improvements from them in qualifying. Hadjar in 11th, Gasly 12th, Lawson 13th. Stroll in 14th, 15th is Berman, 16th is Ocon, Colapinto in 17th, Hulkenberg 18th, Bortoletto 19th, and Tsunoda missed most of this session, to be honest with you. He got some laps in very early on, but spent most of it in the garage and then got one push lap, I think, 2 push laps, and didn't really do anything from it. So Yuki Tsunoda has it all to do, unfortunately, in qualifying. It looks like it could be another difficult weekend for him. Will Red Bull fire Tsunoda? No, they won't. There's no point. There's no point. I mean, they're getting the money from Honda. They're getting an extra 10 million, so 20 million overall from Honda. And I can't imagine Honda will give them all that money if they decide to get rid of Tsunoda, like, before the season ends. Plus, they know that car's not great. So keep developing Hadjar, build up his confidence, put him in the car, or Arvid Lindblad, whoever they decide to, Lawson, I don't know. Build up the confidence of those who are in the RB right now, and yeah, decide on putting one of them in the car next season, and it could be a good time to be in moving up into Red Bull, because it's a fresh new start, a fresh new car that's not built around Max Verstappen. So You feel sorry for Gasly, probably one of the best drivers on the grid in a team that isn't worth being anywhere near. Yeah, I mean, it's a shame, isn't it? I mean, Gasly, I do rate Gasly quite highly. But, yeah, Alpine, who knows? I mean, it might be a blessing in disguise, but they've decided to get rid of their Renault engine and gearbox and go to Mercedes. It could be a blessing in disguise for them, and they could absolutely come out the front runners next season, you know? Stewart's quickly waving the red flag in front of drivers to get some pocket money for MBS. What's wrong with Yuki these days, Ida? He's just having the same struggles that every second driver in the Red Bull car has had. I think it's literally that. I don't think there's anything wrong with Yuki. We have seen good drivers go into that second Red Bull seat and just falter. And that's what Yuki is now. I mean, Yuki, other than Japan, Suzuka, hasn't really performed that well in that car. So we're now starting to see that I mean, Yuki, we always said Yuki was in a win-win situation moving up into Red Bull. If he goes into that seat and he performs better than Lawson and Perez, like, brilliant, absolutely brilliant, win-win. If he falters in it, as he is now, it just confirms to us that we know it's the car and it's not Yuki's fault. So, yeah, it's a shame. Yuki does need a good car. He does need a good car. My worry for Yuki is that he's going to be out of a seat for next season. That's the problem. Unless Red Bull decide to keep him and Honda stump up a load of cash, I think it's a one-season deal for Yuki there, and I think they won't put him back down. He only had a one-year extension on his contract, so I don't think he's going to be put back down into the RB car because he's been at Red Bull for too long. The Honda partnership has ended with the engine supplier, of course, then moving to Aston Martin. They'll be eyeing up, of course, those links with him at Aston Martin, unless Max Verstappen decides to move there, of course. So, yeah, we'll see. Yuki is still using the old parts. I think he's still using some old parts, yes. But, yeah, as we mentioned before, it's primarily due to the fact that he crashed in Imola, and it meant that they had to revert to old spec parts. So many saved their mediums quali for a shootout. It's not just for the quali, it's for the race on Sunday as well, Kalido. You've got to remember, this is the soft this medium is the softs from last year. So I think we will see a couple of the teams, the midfield teams, do what Aston Martin did, and I think they will try and sneak some extra positions by using the mediums. It all depends how the track temperature cools as well. If the track temperature cools, then the softs may come into that decent window. But at the moment, I think the softs, yeah, when they're pushing properly, when it comes to qualifying, they may struggle in these track temps to keep them alive for that long, on the rears particularly. So we'll see. But the race in particular, the medium is the tyre that they'll want to hold back and use. So. When did Charles last win a race? I can't remember. How do I see qualifying playing out? I'm going to change my qualifying prediction, guys. So, from what I've seen in this session, I think Piastri is genuinely struggling. And I'm going to still stick with Lando Norris pole. But I think George Russell will still be second, and I think now Charles Leclerc will be third. And I think Piastri will be outside the top three. May not even be on the second row. I think Oscar Piastri, looking at the times yesterday, and now looking at this session, I think he's just overall not been at it with the McLaren at this circuit. And of course, it's a circuit where there's no room for error. So if you are not completely confident with the machinery underneath you, then it's very difficult to try and get a bit more out of it because there's no room for error. So Lewis still 2 to 3 tenths behind Chuck is getting quite irritating. But then again, though, Ben, if you were to say at the start of the season, Lewis Hamilton, in the last year of a set of regs that he has struggled in, and he's jumping into a team that he's never been a part of, brand new engine, different language, etc., and he was consistently 2 to 3 tenths behind Charles Leclerc, arguably one of the quickest drivers on the grid, one of the quickest qualifiers, a driver who's been at the team for 5 years, maybe even more, can't remember. I think you'd take that. I think you would take that. I still will, as a Hamilton fan. I'm under no illusion that Leclerc is the quicker driver at the moment, and that, yeah, Hamilton isn't going to win races on the Saturday. He can only lose them on the Saturday, in my opinion. But he can win races, obviously, with his race pace on the Sunday. If he's 2 tenths behind Charles Leclerc, 2 to 3 tenths behind Charles Leclerc in qualifying, for the most part, if the Ferrari is a half-decent car, then he'll be on the second row or starting in the top 5, where you can maybe potentially see an opportunity for a race win or a podium there. So Yuki will be being clean air, Joey. Oof. Well, we'll see. We'll see. He may dig deep. But it's a tricky track to try and dig deep because, as we've seen, there's no room for error. So, but anyway, guys, I'll go pick up the Familia. They are waiting for me. They're waiting for taxi Stuffey. And yeah, I'll be back in a few hours' time. Of course, link to the qualifying is up ahead. Is the pinned message. So go and bookmark that. Thank you for all the likes and the subscribers, by the way. We're fast approaching 47,000. And yeah, it's going to be a very interesting qualifying. Stay tuned. I think we're going to see a bit of a mix-up of the order here. McLarens don't look all supreme, and even if Lando Norris is going to be fighting out for pole position, which I do suspect he will do, it's going to be very, very close here, and it's going to provide a very interesting race tomorrow. So, yes, be sure to tune in, guys. I'm going to go update myself on Le Mans as well, and we'll see you in a few hours' time. Thanks. Bye.